So the firing order is different from 4.6 to 7.3. All right, I think it's ready to start. So today's goal is to mess with the wiring a little bit. I want to remove the 4.6 wiring off the original engine and just overlay it on this Godzilla engine and see what we're working with, because I still have to connect the transmission and everything, and the harness on the 4.6 actually has a one-piece harness that has the wiring for the transmission and everything. So I'm gonna remove that wiring harness off the 4.6, take all the loom off of it, and just see what I can work with. I might be able to make a custom harness from scratch or modify what I got. I'm not sure yet, but I just realized that I'm missing this thermostat housing, which is no big deal. I have another one in the back. Today I ordered the alternator bracket. I didn't buy the alternator yet because they're expensive, but I did buy the bracket. I bought this tensioner here, and I bought both belts. I bought all those parts off 2020 F250 with the 7.3 Godzilla. I'm hoping that they will work. I don't see why they wouldn't. Also, in my previous video, I showed you guys that open port on the block here for coolant, and it turns out that there is a hose on the pickup trucks with the 7.3. There is a metal tube that goes in there and then connects to the bottom oil cooler here, but then it also tees off and goes this way to connect to the transmission cooler, which I don't have here. So I did buy that hose. I don't know if I'll be able to use it or not, but I also bought this other hose that actually loops around, loops around towards the front of the engine, and then it's a metal tube that goes towards the front here, and then I can tap into the radiator here. So that's gonna work out awesome. But the other hose, I don't know if I'll use it. Once I get it here, I'll be able to tell if I can use it or not. And everything else, I guess it'll just work itself out. So let's get some work done. Oh, also, I did remove the original exhaust without cutting it, but I did it off camera. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to fit it through, but it is doable. It's not doable if the body would be on it, but there's plenty of room right now, as you can see, and I was able to wiggle it out over the axle, over the rear axle, and then I put the drive shaft back in and put some Loctite and torqued it down. So the drivetrain is all hooked up 100%. All I need to do is the hard part, wire it up, and I guess figure out how to make it run. Let's do it. I'm not sure. I might be able to use this alternator. I don't remember when I swapped the Godzilla into the, well, I didn't swap it, I just replaced the 450 Godzilla 7.3 on the pickup truck, and I don't remember what the alternator looked like. I might be able to use this one, who knows. I mean, it was still good. This whole engine is still good. What's not good is this loom. Look at this. It just falls apart. There's a couple harnesses that go to the back of the, or underneath the intake, I need to look into what those sensors are, because I might be able to just wire them up on the Godzilla with this harness here. Okay, the oil pressure sensor is over here on the driver's side, where on the Godzilla it's on the passenger side. Oh, look at that. There's a, I forgot that there is a fuel pressure sensor on this 4.6, and there is not a fuel pressure sensor on the 7.3. Weight reduction. So here is the 4.6 original harness. This loom is just done with. I'm gonna go ahead and remove all the loom off of it so I have access to all the wires, and then I can see. I mean, obviously I'll be replacing like the injector connectors, I think are different, and coil packs. Coils connectors will be different. I mean, maybe the injectors are the same. Let me see. Injectors might be the same. The coils are different. Yeah. What was that? Oh, yeah. I temporarily put this fitting in there and close that up. So I'm getting most of this loom off. Here at Alltech, we make wiring harnesses from scratch in-house. So making a harness is not a problem here. Oh wow, there's a, what the heck? There's just an open wire in there. Probably just ground. That's a big pile of loom. Trash. So here's the harness, naked. There's a lot of connections here, and it's a pretty big harness. All right, I think it's ready to start. So here is the 4.6 original wiring harness, stripped down from loom, laid out on this new 7.3 Godzilla. I've got everything plugged in on the transmission, besides, you know, the O2 sensors. Connectors are just chilling there. The injector connectors are exactly the same. Well, they're not exactly the same, but they clip in. They don't have the safety tab, but they clip in, no problem. So that's a plus there. The coil connectors are different, as you can see. No big deal. The PCM is on this side. of the car, the driver's side of the car. So this is just to get an idea of what can be done, to see if I can, you know, the harness itself is in pretty good shape. The loom was all falling apart, but the harness itself is okay. So I don't know. I'm sure there's some experts out there that can tell me if I have a chance of getting this engine started with the stock PCM, meaning it's a 2009 Crown Vic and it has the stock PCM up there. Will this engine idle with the stock PCM? I know it's not going to run perfect, but will it fire up and idle for at least a few seconds? Let me know. I did some research. A lot of people saying that, hey, don't even try it. It's gonna be a fail. I don't know. Let me know. I'm sure there's some people out there that know a lot more than I do. This is my first engine swap ever. I replaced engines all my life. Well, not for a living, but I can replace engines. But I've never took a engine out and put a whole different engine in. And this one, you know, it's pretty close to same, but the Crown Vic is a 2009 and this is a 2020 engine. So technology has changed. I know it's got the variable timing, and I don't know about anything about the 4.6. And I know that the oil pump is connected to the variable timing on this engine, is what I'm told. So is it dangerous to idle it with the stock PCM? Will it start? I know it'll turn over, but will it run on idle? I don't know. I have a lot of questions. Also, the fuel line runs on the passenger side of this Crown Vic, and it comes up right here. It's a metal tube up until this point, and then it switches over to a plastic tube, and the connector looks like that. This is an old school looking fuel rail connector. So what I'm planning to do is just cut this open, take the hose off, put a regular rubber hose for fuel, obviously, and I have to run it across, probably P-clamp it here, run it across, and the fuel is on this side, on the driver's side. No big deal. I have a fitting that'll connect to that, and I just have to run a hose about 3 feet over the engine. Not a big fan of the header being this close to the fuel line. I may just throw like a shield, extra shield over it. We'll see, but that's what's happening with the fuel line. I'm gonna I guess set the radiator back in here. That way when I get the tubes and hoses from the dealer the next couple days, I can start routing and plumbing up the coolant. The coolant inlets in the front are a little bit in a different spots. That's not a big deal. I can run the hoses, I can get different hoses, not too worried about it. For the heater core, like I was talking about in the last video, on the 4.6 the inlets are there, on 7.3 they're up front. But what I can do is I can just buy some hoses off a 2020 F250 that will connect into these inlets, and then I can run them properly and connect it to the heater core. But you know, things like that won't stop me from running the engine. I'm more concerned, like I said, if you know anything about this kind of thing, engine swaps, the newer engines, and let me know if I should or should not attempt to idle it with the stock PCM. Also, I don't work on this project every day. This is sort of like a side project that I decided to do. But you know, so this is like an after hours thing. That's why not much is getting done. If I could work on it full time, I could probably get a lot more things done. There are a couple other projects that I can't show at the moment, but hopefully I will be able to show them in the near future. There's a lot of prototypes that, you know, I'm not able to show at the moment, but once they go into production, I can show more and talk about it and go from there. And like with this setup here, eventually I would like to put the Whipple supercharger on it. We do work close with Whipple. I'm actually excited about putting a Whipple on something like this. I've heard recently that this engine here on the dyno, with the twin turbos, they were able to push 1100 horsepower, which is pretty crazy. So I can't imagine what a Whipple supercharger will do with this engine. This engine here is just a production engine. You know, this engine here, that's something you would get in just a regular F250 or F350, F450. And I believe this engine is also in the E-Class vans. So the new ambulances that you will be seeing on the road, they will most likely have the 7.3 liter Godzilla engine in it. So far, it's a great engine, but you know, it's pretty new, so we'll see how they do. Some of the updates of this build I posted on my Instagram, so if you want to see some of the things before videos get released, I'll have them up there. And like I said earlier, if you know anything about this kind of swaps or anything like that, and you're able to help me out with some of the tips, please let me know. I read the comments and I'll reply. So I just, you know, I have zero patience, so I'd like to get this thing started ASAP. I'm tired of looking at it. I want to set the body back down, wire it up, and start it with the key. And you know, the goal is to make sure everything works in the car as it should. Windows, AC, heat, everything. I want everything to work. You know, it's not gonna be like a street legal car, obviously, but you know, I want everything to work properly. So that's the goal. So until next time, later.